Hello and welcome to my Cargo Chimps guide with an epic strategy that someone suggested, Gwen and Inferno Ring. This is also very easy and uses very few abilities, which is nice. First, we start off by placing a dart monkey right over here, in line with the track, set to last. And then we place a sub as top left as possible into this corner because that placement works the best. If you got the placements right, you should win until the end of round 7. After round 7, you're going to place a druid as top right as possible into that corner and set it to strong. We are AFK until the end of round 11, so see you then. You can technically do it before round 11 ends, but you don't have to. After round 11, place Gwen as top right as possible here next to your druid. And you're going to keep her on first. At some point before round 15, upgrade your druid to Thorn Swarm and Heart of Oak. On round 15, use a cocktail when your money counter reaches 250. On round 18, use another cocktail when the big wave of greens comes at the end of the round. And now, after 18, you should afford Druid of the Jungle. Upgrade your druid to Druid of the Jungle and set it to first. Also, get Hard Thorns. For round 24, use another Gwen cocktail. You should probably do it before 28, but place a heli right over here as top left as possible below Gwen, and lock it in place over here. Don't upgrade it just yet though. After round 32, you want to place a sub right over here and upgrade it to Submerge and Support with twin guns, and submerge it. And then you're going to want to use a Gwen cocktail when one of the yellows makes it past. There will usually be 2 that make it past, but if you have a slightly different sub placement, then it might end up being a bit different. Whenever you can afford it, place a village right over here as top left as possible next to your heli, and upgrade it to both of the discount upgrades. Also, you should avoid using a cocktail on 35, but if you want to, you can also micro your heli. I don't, but if you really want to, you can. But you're going to want to use a Gwen cocktail on the first wave of 36, just to prevent any druid RNG. And then upgrade your heli to Pursuit with faster firing. At some point before round 40, upgrade your heli to Moab Shove and move your Gwen cocktail to the Moab lane on this corner, and use it when the Moab pops into the ceramics. And then, after that, move it back next to Gwen. Or in the front there. Doesn't really matter. And then, when you have the money, upgrade your decamo sub to a Bloontonium reactor. And then, use Gwen's cocktail on 43 when the ceramics arrive. Also, upgrade your village to jungle drums once you have the money. Very important. 46 will look like it gets close, but you never actually die, so don't worry about it. And then, for 47, use a Gwen cocktail once the ceramics spawn on screen, which is right at the start of the round, so just use it at the start of the round. At some point before 49, upgrade your heli to Comanche defense. This guy will absolutely demolish our mid-game. Whenever you can afford it, place a tack shooter as top right as possible into this corner. If you've placed everything correctly, it should be in the village range, and it is very important that it is. Upgrade it to Ring of Fire with super range tacks, and then upgrade your village to primary mentoring for that epic range buff. And once you've afforded primary mentoring, build an alchemist right next to your tack shooter. You want to make sure that the heli isn't in range, because we want all of the alch buff going to the Ring of Fire and not the heli. Upgrade that alchemist to stronger stimulant with perishing potions. Once you've afforded stronger stim, we're AFK until 63. '63 is fairly easy. Use Gwen's cocktail on the first wave. Use a firestorm on the second. And use another cocktail on the third. Pretty easy. After 63, we are completely AFK until 75. So feel free to use more of Gwen's abilities on the rounds before that if you'd like. '75 is easy. Just move Gwen's cocktail to this corner and use the ability once a bunch of stuff, it's usually going to be fortified Moabs, BFBs, Moabs, once they're approaching that corner, just to make sure that they don't pass through. They shouldn't, but just to make sure. 76 is also pretty easy. Just use a firestorm. 77 is also pretty easy. Just use a firestorm with the same idea of timing as 75. Just use it when a bunch of stuff starts to approach that corner. And then for 78, use firestorm on both ceramic waves. It's very important that you use it on both, because if you don't use it on either one, you just straight up die. And you wouldn't want to do that now, would you? '79 is also pretty easy. You don't really have to do anything, except buy Inferno Ring whenever you have the money to. I'm not sure if you even need it to beat the round, but just buy it now, as you'd have to buy it later anyways. Also, set it to strong. That is very important, because if it's targeting first, that meteor will not break down ZOMGs, and that's kind of what we want it to do. Whenever you get the money, remove that bottom obstacle over there, and place a glue gunner as low as possible, while still being in the discount range, and upgrade it to Relentless Glue with Glue Splatter set to strong. And then, whenever you have the money, place a sub right over here, and upgrade it to Bloontonium Reactor with Twin Guns. Not even sure if the Twin Guns is needed, but just get it anyway. Doesn't hurt. This sub will mostly be used to decamo DDTs and not much else. And once you've bought that, we're AFK until the middle of round 91. Feel free to use any of Gwen's abilities, but you don't have to. On 91, feel free to use either of Gwen's abilities to clear those topside ceramics because they can be a bit scary even though they're not. The only thing that is 100% needed though is to buy primary expertise at some point before round 92. This guy gives your Inferno Rings Meteor another few pierce and it helps a ton. Over the next few rounds, start building a few Moab presses with the top crosspath set to strong near your glue gunner, all in range of the village. It's very important. Try not to spend as much time placing one as I do right here because it's pretty easy. Very important that they're set to strong and that they do have the top crosspath though. You're going to buy 3 in total, and you don't actually need any Gwen abilities for the rest of the run, so feel free to use them if you like. And then also, place a snowstorm, not in range of the alchemist, but in range of the village, right there. And upgrade it to snowstorm with larger radius and refreeze. You can use its ability as a panic button if you feel like it or something goes wrong, which it shouldn't, but yeah, use it as the panic button if you'd like. You can watch round 98, the hardest round in Chimps, get absolutely melted by Gwen and her tack friend. It looks very cool, doesn't it? At some point before round 100, upgrade your starting sub to a first strike, and I'll explain the ability timing when we get there. Yeah, there's ability timing, kinda sucks, but you're gonna have to deal with it. Upgrade it to first strike. I would recommend not using any abilities for round 100 except the first strike, because damage values need to be similar here. Use the first strike once your bad turns up. Good job on your cargo black border. I hope this guide helped you out. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye. Also, Sanctuary with level 20 Churchill will probably be a thing. Just need to make a slightly more consistent early game and a slightly more consistent around 95 and 98.